How long were you doing porn?
Um, well, I've been in the sex trade all my life. Because at a very young age, I've done anything. I mean, voyeur parties, swinger parties. I've done all of this kind of thing on a professional level. Escort services from the street, like they say, from the ghetto streets to the executive suite. All of it, because it's all tied together. But porn, I think about 12, 15 years. I was in the
Well,
porn
15
industry.
years. So, you did 12 porn for 12 to 15 years. How has it changed from then and now? Obviously, we talked a little bit earlier about the OnlyFans. Is that kind of the main thing that's changed as far as the money aspect of porn?
If I were in the industry today, honestly, I'm using that term lightly. There really is no porn industry. The
Yeah.
internet killed it long time ago, around 2013, 2012. It officially died, but it was dying, I would say, in 2009, 2010. And no one's going to pay for something they can get for free. And the money you make streaming is like 1/10 what we used to make actually filming. So it's not worth the money to me,
But hold
except,
on, what is streaming? Are you talking about like those websites like Pornhub and
yeah,
X videos and what? Yeah, God.
you gotta understand, when streaming came in, those videos came in, the distribution houses, which there were tons of them, supplying thousands of jobs, they're out of business. Wholesalers, they're out of business. The retail stores, they're all out of business. You're talking about a worldwide industry that just imploded on itself with the invention of .com.
Yeah.
That's it. And then places like Pornhub, well, the pornography is free because they make money off the advertisers. Why would you buy a $15 DVD
Right.
when you can just watch the scene you want to watch for free? So we started to see it started hitting from it first started hitting the retailers, then it hit the wholesalers, then the distributors. Then when it went us, by the time it went back down, you're not moving, let's say 20,000 units of a $5 DVD wholesale. Now you're moving literally, got down to like 800. Well, that doesn't even cover production costs. That's just $4,000.
So what
So
is the only game in town like the OnlyFans stuff then?
yeah, unfortunately, except in person, you know, because you can't kiss an OnlyFans girl; she's on the screen.
Right.
So escorting is going to always be there. So
Sure.
what happens is it went full circle and right back where it started, on the street at the whorehouses, because you can't touch an OnlyFans girl; you can only look at her. As opposed to escort service, in call girls are just that just means out call. They come to you. That's all that means. Escort means that you come to them, like at a bordello or brothel. And streetwalkers, their money has gone up, and their business will not go. It's never going anywhere. They call it the oldest profession for a reason. It goes through stages, but you still can't touch a girl on the screen. All you can do is touch yourself with a more enhanced personal fantasy. Well, I can watch McDonald's commercials all day, but I'm still hungry. You have to actually eat. So watching somebody eat and actually eating, I mean, it's fun. I mean, it was fun watching my buddy eat that lobster. It really was. The way he cracked it and he dipped it twice in the butter. I'm like, go, man. But my stomach still growled until I made my order and got my food. It was a
Right.
lot better eating than watching him eat.
Who are the most I guess we'll go back to like 2013 before I guess before 2013 before the porn industry really died. Are we seeing like young men watching pornography the most, or is it older men? Is it middle aged? What groups are the ones that are really were? I guess we should say were watching the majority of pornography.
At this, when I was in the industry, it was about 50-50, men and female. But it's
Okay.
geared towards men. I tell people, pornography is geared towards men. Sex toys are geared towards women. 90% of the sex toys are designed for women. Women need physical pleasure, men need visual pleasure. You
Right.
can't satisfy a woman with a porn tape. She needs a vibrator. A man, what is a male sex toy?
I don't. You got me. You
You
got
have the
me.
ejaculators, but we have one type of sex toy. 80-90% of them are geared towards female satisfaction.
Yeah.
Porn is geared towards male satisfaction. So, but the dynamic where we used to ship most of our tapes, Middle America, most of our DVDs,
Yeah.
because the mail order was strong there because they didn't have the adult film stores. This is before the internet.
Is this
So what
because
they
of
had-
that religious right stuff is in those pockets
all
of
of it.
America? Yeah, go
When
ahead.
I talk about the swing parties, I say, who you think was there? Who you think was there at these orgies? You think the guy? You think no? Who you think is there? I can't. I mean, I just don't expose because that's not my thing.
Yeah, I know.
covet-
I know you've said that
But
before. We don't
I
have to say names.
politicians to the fullest. I've dealt with clergy, high-ranking clergy. I've dealt with the actors, all of them. And then what trips you out is you see them 4 days later on television talking about family values, each other's secrets.
Yeah, that's why it's full of shit. Yeah, no, I agree. It's just a lot of
Kentucky was,
bullshit.
Kentucky was the biggest state that we shipped pornography to.
Oh, wow.
Bigger than California, which is a lot bigger state, with higher population, bigger than Texas, bigger than New York, Kentucky.
But is that because like places like California, like the East Coast and stuff, this stuff is like more acceptable and people don't really watch as much pornography, maybe.
You know where you find extremism behavior? Wherever you find suppression.
Yeah.
See, guys, you see a lot of mass shootings today because their testosterone is being suppressed. See, if they could work that out on the football field, but see, they didn't play football. They didn't do these things. You can work it out at the boxing gym. You're going to work it out because that's testosterone. Right. So when you suppress, Steve Urkel can only take so many wedgies before his testosterone comes bursting through, and you'll say something like, "Hey, Steve, that's a funny outfit," and he'll shoot you 6 times in the face. He overreacted because it's been suppressed for so long that he'll walk up on the Oscars and smack you in the face. When he could have just accepted his award and then did a tasteless joke. I was like, "Oh yeah, by the way, Chris Rock, your mama." And then he walked off. I meet verbal aggression with verbal, physical with physical. There's no way that someone.
How about the guy that just jumped in? He tried to kill Dave Chappelle in California. Yeah.
What age he is? See, he was born after the emasculation law.
Hey, they knocked the shit out of him. You
well,
see his arm? His arm was like twisted into all kinds of directions.
Before that law, he would have known what was to follow that.
Yeah. But it's crazy. But yeah, and I agree. And it just seems like, obviously I agree with you. You know the story. But it just seems like it's the fit. Like these places in Middle America, like you said, it's suppressed, whether it's the religious right or it's just taboo in general.
Yeah. It's a suppression. That's why they have in the 60s called the sexual revolution. Because in the 50s and on down, sex was repressed. They were repressed and they couldn't take it anymore. Now, all they had to do was start saying, "I'm going to start having sex with people I'm not married to." But they didn't. What happened? What happens after suppression? Extremism. In comes the orgies and the wild acid parties. That they lost their mind. They couldn't take. I'm mad as hell and I can't take it anymore. That suppression. I'll tell people, extremism comes after suppression. That is the natural tit for tat that comes after something's been suppressed for so long. Extremism comes after it. It can be political. It can be sexual. Who do you
Where
think?
is the extremism in porn?
It's a disease. Now, what people don't understand about diseases is they can grow, much like how COVID has done, take on a life of their own, splinter, and they'll do anything that anything else is alive, try to survive. So it's not so much porn is racist. So is baseball. So is the school system. So it has infected all aspects of American life. Now, it has nothing to do with race because I know plenty, especially in prison, white supremacists who had black girlfriends. A lot of the Black Panthers had white girlfriends. Jane Fonda was rolling with them and stuff. So if they were racist, why all the white women here? And if the Proud Boys were racist, how come most of their leaders have black girlfriends and black wives? So it's not about race. It's about males. That's what it's about. Because if it's racist South, well, they have no problems macking to black girls, but they had a problem with black men macking to black women. And if you can do it in the reverse, that black guy who's fight the power and he's revolutionary, why does he have 3 white girls at his house? You saw that in I'm Gonna Get You Sucker.
Right.
Oh, no. See, he's not mad at whites. He's just mad at the man. The man is just mad at the other man. So if the color was the problem, why not the chick?
Right.
Oh, no. See, I have Marilyn Monroe on my wall. My mother was a Black Panther. I have Marilyn Monroe on my wall. It's never the chick. What it is my muscles are stronger than yours. My dick is bigger than yours. I can run faster than you. It goes right back to kindergarten. It's just guy versus guy. It can only be 1 rooster per hen house. It's not that the rooster is violent, because why isn't he beating up and killing the chickens?
Sure.
But when he sees another rooster, they immediately fight, because there's only 1 rooster per hen house. Lions, you might see 6 lions. There's only 1 male there. Mm-hmm. It's only 1 male in the pride. He doesn't share that pride with another man. They fight for it. Whoever wins get the chicks.
Right.
What it really is, it's about that.
But I was yeah. Sorry to interrupt. I was told that there was a lot of racism in porn that, I watched a documentary and it was talking about, as far as the racism in porn, that a lot of the white women didn't want to get into interracial porn because of, I don't know if it was the pay. Go ahead.
The pay goes down. The pay goes. I knew one. God, what was her name?
Oh, so that's factual then. Okay.
Yeah, I can say that. I made over 500 films. What you call it? I knew one named Sharon. God, I don't want to say.
Why does the pay go down though, Mickey?
Because white companies don't want to shoot white girls who've been with black men.
But I thought we talked about last time that a lot of the producers or the people that were distributing this, you can correct me if whichever one is correct, they're white. Mm-hmm. That are running these interracial black guy, white woman. You know what I'm saying? These films, but
economics above ego. Yeah. Because those were the biggest sellers. When I was in there, it outsold all white porn, it outsold all black porn. It had to be interracial, and it couldn't be a fairer skinned black man. They wanted the darkest black man and the blondest white woman. She can't have red hair. She can't have be a brunette that looks like Janet on Three's Company. She has to look like Suzanne Summers. In fact, there's a series called Blacks on Blondes. It's not blacks on white girls. No, specifically Marilyn. They want Marilyn and they want Jack Johnson to do scenes together, and those outsold the other porns 2-3 to 1. So
and that's all built on the racism aspect, though.
All is built on.
Yeah. Okay.
And it works. You use people's prejudices to work for you. I remember a certain politician, I could have sworn it was Donald Trump, and they said, what did you do during the 60s? And they had these other, he wasn't a politician, and they had these other rich people saying, well, I protested, or I did this. He said, I sold real estate. He said, I sold black people houses in white neighborhoods, and I charged them a certain amount. He said, and I knew it would create white flight. Then I sold white people into underdeveloped, unincorporated neighborhoods that hadn't been established yet, and I knew I could charge them a certain price. He said, I got rich off both of them's fear and ignorance. He said, and that's what I did. He said, because I knew if I moved them over here, they're going to, because I can't get the blacks to go into the unincorporated area. So I'll get the blacks to come into the white area. Well, where am I going to get my people from? He said, just wait about 4 months. Now I got 100 families want to move into this new development that I just put up. His goal was to get 100% occupancy within a year. He accomplished that. Yeah. Year after year after year after year. See, so porn knows the racist dynamic in America, and they play off of that to make them more money. They laugh about it. We laugh about it in the boardroom. We have the graphs and the charts and everything. Okay, we need this scene. We need her to be running desperate. She has to fall. Okay, I got to trip 2 times. You have to trip 2 times. No, stop, please don't. Then you scratch his face, and then he runs up, and then the crowd is this is scripted. And it's orchestrated on purpose because they noticed that we sold 20,000 units of this movie, but when we put out this one, that was a remake of Birth of a Nation, we sold 80,000 units. So now we're going to do part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're going to go large. When the sales start to decrease, that's when the BBWs came. When those sales started to decrease, then we brought in and invented the term MILF. We said, how do we get rid of these old chicks who want to shoot for less money, but we can't sell it? That's because we're trying to sell it as a glamour film. Let's sell it as, this is Billy's mom. She's a housewife. Put her in an apron. Come on, spray her hair with that gray stuff. Make her look older. And then we got this young, hot, handsome stuff. Oh, could you put this above the bed? It's all orchestrated to tap into certain people's sensors, and it worked. It worked economically, and a lot of riches were made. Billions were made.
Right.
Because it's still just insert, exit, insert, exit. It's still just sex, but it's how it's packaged that made the difference.
The genre that makes the most money is interracial, then? Is that what you're saying?
At that time. I don't know what it is. My last movie was in 2012.
Oh, okay.
Then I had to go on a vacation. So.
Well, I mean, then you said that the industry kind of died in 2013. So
it was dying anyway.
Yeah, right. So
I mean, you had to do lower and lower and lower budget, and that's what invented the POV. Because now we can eliminate
the point of view. Right.
We didn't do that because of an erotic reason. That was an economic decision. And girls would work less for POV because it's only 2 positions or 3 positions you can get in a POV. So she had to do less work. And POV scenes were usually about 20, 25 minutes, not the standard 45 minutes. So we could pay them a lot less and don't have to pay a guy because we're not moving that many units. So that's when POV came in and became popular. It was an economic decision.
But didn't you say that, like, for a scene, if you were directing it or involved in it, there was like 2 or 3 guys? Like, because obviously if you're doing like a 30, 40-minute scene, a lot of these guys couldn't keep going, obviously. I mean, for that amount of time, they had to take a break and get a guy with similar skin color and
size and everything, But we had to, not often, because these men were professionals. I used to shoot with amateur girls sometimes, but never amateur guys. Amateur guys had to, because the guy determines the scene. With an amateur guy, he's losing wood. If I don't have a what we call him, a buffer there, a fluffer. If I don't have a fluffer there, that's just a woman sitting on the side. You just walk over and put your penis in her mouth until it gets back erect, and you run back and do the scene. Because you'll have certain women who are under contract, they say, I don't fluff. So either he gets it up on his own, or I just sit here and take a break. I'm on the clock. I don't fluff. I'm not going to fluff him. And then, so you have to have a fluffer there. That's all she does. She might not be used that day. But if she is, he runs over there. He stands there, gets it back, and then runs back. Of course, they all came with their own pills and pumps and things like that. But we've often had to use body doubles because I still have to pay these people. I don't get paid until the scene is complete. They get paid regardless. They've already been paid. I don't get my money until I can turn this in and produce it. So you have some dead ends like that. And those scenes we used to chop up, put them in streams on the internet. Those streams that you see that don't have cum shots and stuff like that. Well, the reason that is because maybe the guy couldn't. But it's still good enough to make me money as a 7-minute stream. That's not something we wanted to do, but it beats throwing it away.
So did you go to all those awards? What is it? The AVN? Yeah.
Twice.
Is that still go on though, even though the industry's kind of down?
I don't know because I don't keep up with it.
Right.
But last one I saw, it's a shell of its former self. It's been around the 70s, and it's I think late 70s. And it's a shell of its former self. It was really an award show. And people took pride in what they did. And when it came out, that's when the Pussycat Theaters, and you could see porn on the big screen. It was just a genre of film at that point. Now, they make more money off the award ceremony than they made all year. It's just a big party now. It's a shell of its former self. It's just, it's not the same.
When did it falter?
Internet.
Oh, 20. Oh, and then it just went dead too at 2012, 2013.
The fun died. It's like you had people in there who've been doing this since the 60s. You had the Vanessa Del Rios coming through. You had the Ron Jeremys, and we can talk about him later or not, but he was like, you remember in the old boxing days, like I saw it at the Mike Tyson, Michael Spinks fight. Remember how the tradition was you introduced the old champions at ringside? We have jerseys, Walcott. They stopped doing it. It's not the same. That's what they were there for. So that's the kind of respect that Ron Jeremy has there. That's the kind of respect that Jenna Jameson may have. She's a star, a pioneer in what we hold sacred. It was a real, actual industry. That's why I don't even call it the porn industry anymore. It's just upload. It's just turn the camera on, screw, upload, and wait on the check. No, we had a real live industry. Bodyguards, drivers, like I said, wholesalers, manufacturers, worldwide retailers, planes going back and forth. It was a whole world. You didn't have to exist outside of that world. Now, you know, I mean, but it is what it is. I can't slow down technology.
Right. So, no, go ahead.
No, that was it. I mean, you just have to accept times have changed.
I know you did a special a while back with National Geographic, and I've watched that special, and you were on the street, rather driving in a car, I should say, on the street, with a woman from National Geographic, and you were just picking girls out, saying this girl wants to be here, this girl doesn't want to be here, and all that other stuff. And you were just getting all that information because you had been on the street for so long, and you just knew this by looking at these women. When we talk about the trafficking industry, and obviously now the gas is out of control, the pandemic is still going on, even though it's calmed down, but the economy's in really a bad place. Does that mean that the trafficking industry is going to go higher and prostitution will go up also? Or does that mean that it's going to go down because there's less money out there as far as the economy goes?
Well, I say the sex trade. When I speak of trafficking, I'm speaking of actual people who snatch people.
Right.
Now, when I talk about sex trade, that can go from pimping, pornography, magazines. If you're selling an image or any type of sex, it's the sex trade. It has different factions. Swinger parties are part of the sex trade.
Yeah.
Orgies are part of the sex trade. Yeah. You know, so I can tell you this: my uncle was in Vietnam. Mm-hmm. He was running from napalm and shooting automatic weapons. He found time to get laid every day at their bordellos, and so did all the other soldiers. Mm-hmm. They have an old saying: the coochie will sell when cotton won't. In harder times, vices go up. More people want to get high, the less money they have as a stress rate. I know it doesn't make sense, because you would think you would want things like food and shelter and water. No, the worst times are good times. When was the mob's glory day? When did they make most of their money? During 1929 New York Prohibition. When was the worst time in America for business? During 1929. See, when they lost their jobs, they needed comfort. Well, come over here to Polly Adler and Mae West. They got some comfort for you. And if they don't, they have 8 daughters upstairs that do. And that's what he did. And so the harder the time, in good times, you go home to your wife. In hard times, you go to the gym, the bar, the whore. You don't want to come home because you're a failure. And who wants to be at home? See, it's not failing that bothers men. It's failing in front of the ones they love and who depended on them. You depended on me to keep a roof over our head. And now we have an eviction notice. I don't want to go home and face that. But see, when I go to that prostitute, she doesn't care about that. I feel like a winner. And now that I've gone to the prostitute, I can come home. Not only did I lose my job, but baby, on my way home, I got this other one. We'll be broke for 2 weeks until the first check comes, but I've stopped him. See, he thought of a different plan. That's where he rejuvenated his testosterone and self-esteem. Mm-hmm. So those, what they call sex workers, that I call nurses from the gods, from the heavens, they repair things in men that doctors and psychiatrists can't.
No, it makes sense because crime has gone up throughout the pandemic, so it makes sense with that. And, you know, all these things have gone up, you know, not the greatest thing. So it makes sense. But, you know, to go back to that National Geographic thing, how are you able to pinpoint out, you know, that girl was getting trafficked, that girl was 14, 13 years old, you know, by looking at these women going up and down the street?
Well, I'll get to that. I use movies a lot as my reference because I don't watch TV. I just have an assortment of DVDs and stuff. You ever see a movie called Rounders?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, remember when, what's the guy's name? Matt Damon? Mm-hmm. He was sweeping, like doing some janitorial type stuff. And he said, I don't want to sit down and play with you guys. It won't be fair. And he said, they said, how do you know? He said, let's go around the room. That guy's holding 2 pairs, this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. The way his eyes shifting, he keeps moving his cars. He has a full house, but he's not secure on this also. He would, because he does this for a living.
Because you know the game.
Seconds. When I saw 3 girls standing under one light, I said, they all have the same pimp. She said, how do you know? I said, look at their shoes.
Right,
I said, they're all wearing the same exact pair of shoes. They're clustered together, and they want to be seen, because no matter who gets chosen of those 3, it's going into the same pocket. I said, that woman's working by herself. Notice how when other girls come next to her, she walks in different directions. She's working by herself. I said, you see the girl over there in the dark? I said, she's being trafficked. I said, that's why she's in the dark, because she's not of age. And the guy looking for her is not going to look for her in the light. He's going to look for her in the dark. I said, you see how she's holding both her hands to her side? She's not moving. I said, she's being watched. I said, go down the street. You'll see somebody sitting in a beat-up car. His real car is at home, but he's sitting in a beat-up car. And he has to sit in that car because if she interacts with any kind of law enforcement, he can leave. She doesn't know his real name. We went down the street. I said, there he is right there, with his head ducked down in the car. She said, how do you know? I said, because I've been here 30 years. I have to know what I'm looking at. I have to know when to approach, how to approach, timing. And it goes to my head just as like Matt Damon.
Yeah. But why are the police not, you know, for the people being trafficked, like you said, that girl was being trafficked, the young girl. Why are the police not, you know, looking for these signs? I know you know this. Yeah, go ahead. You
ever notice Griselda has named names and she is willing to turn over her book, but her book is not public, it's private. Yeah. You know why her book will stay private? Because the judges' names are in there.
Yeah.
Their names are in there. See, when I tell people, who do you think was at my swinger parties?
Yeah.
Like when some woman said she's going to call the police, I said, then you might as well call my house because that's where they're playing cards. Here. I said, call it. He'll answer. He'll answer. I said, who do you think is at my orgies? Who do you think is there? You know who's there? The repressed guy who can't get high on his job. All he can do is drink a beer every now and then. He can't flirt with women at work because he's in uniform. So when he's not in uniform, what happens, I told you after suppression? Extremism. I said, no, these guys know who I am. They're my best loyal customers. They work for the city. I know that they're gainfully employed.
Right.
I said, no. I said, who do you think is at my swinger parties? You think a bunch of wild sex people? No, we have sex for a living. I'm around sex every day. It doesn't impress me. It impressed the guy who's being suppressed. I said, half this room is cops, firemen. He lives with a bunch of guys for 4 days. He has all this money in the bank, but he only has a 48-hour time to spend it. That's not enough time to meet a woman, mack her up, make her comfortable. He only gets 2 days a week. So by the time he gets laid by that chick, it's been 6 freaking months. Or he can just call Mickey, and by the time he gets there, I have an array, but just grab one. That's who's at these parties.
Yeah, but there's a difference between a girl that's a young girl underage being trafficked than the girls that want to be there.
Yeah, but when the girls are being trafficked, who do you think their customers are? A poor man can't afford to buy sex every day. Only a man with a steady job and a steady income can afford that.
You're talking about these underage girls, yeah?
Yeah. No. Why would a 16-year-old want a 16-year-old chick? He got 2,000 of them at his high school. No, it's the teacher who's ogling these girls all day, can't touch them, but he can go out there and fulfill his lifelong fantasy. That's why she's sitting there. She's there strictly for an older man. Don't no 20-year-old man want no 60-year-old girl. She doesn't even know how to do anything. No, a 50-year-old man wants a 60-year-old girl. Yeah. That's just the truth. I can do, because I've been there. And the ones that's not doing it by choice, they're always in the dark.
Yeah.
And they're being watched. Now the ones that do it by choice, you'll see them drive up in their own car. Girl, get out. We're gonna make some money tonight. And they hop out. I said, see those girls, they might have different individual outfits, individual shoes. I said, there's one alpha female, she's usually the driver. She's the least attractive one. I said, notice how the other females are younger than her? I said, she's a prostitute, but she's also a pimp too. She gets a percentage of what they have, and she makes her own money doing it also. What they used to call madams. Madams are just retired prostitutes. They were hookers at one time. They got to an age where they couldn't even give it away. But they got all of this knowledge, all of this wisdom. And I tell people, I said, you'll hear other pimps saying, and they're lying. 80% of them are lying. They saw a couple of movies and they say you learn how to be a pimp from older pimp. That's a lie. That's a lie. You absorb style and energy from them. But who can teach you better about how to catch sheep and their weaknesses? A wolf who eats sheep occasionally, or an old sheep who's been one her whole life? No. What is she? Do you ever see the movie The Mac?
Mm-hmm.
Remember when Goldie said, "I'm gonna be the meanest Mac who ever lived"? What did that woman say? You don't know shit about Mackin. She said, everything you need to learn, you're gonna have to get from me.
Right.
You don't know nothing about women. Women teach. My bottom woman was 20 some odd years older than I was, if you read Along for the Ride. She taught me how to control women. I get those women and teach them how to control men. See, the woman is not the fish, she's the worm. I want to catch a shark. The shark is Elon. I want him to make my books into movies. I can't walk into his office, but you can walk into his bedroom. So I teach you what to say. I teach you how to finesse him. I teach the worm how to tease the fish so that we can both eat later off this shark. We're going to both eat off this shark. See, I can't jump in the water and grab him. But if I dangle you on a hook, oh, he'll come to you. Like a fish to water. No pun intended. My women have been in places that I was not allowed to go. I can get my women right next to Harvey Weinstein to push my book as into a movie. I couldn't get there with 2 agents and 100,000 phone calls, but she can get in tonight. Oh, you mean Hank? Oh, I know him. Let me just call him up. What do you want? What do you want, a 2-part series? I got you. I'll see him tonight. See, you're in his bedroom in his ear. I'm on hold on his phone on the lobby. He's not going to pick up the hold. But see, you can do something I can't. You bring that in for me. Yeah. And then we'll both eat off of it. Guess who the star? Guess who the leading female character in the movie's gonna be? It's gonna be you, my precious worm. That's how we work this. That's how we get over the wall. One hoist, one stirrups. That's how we get over.
So that, bringing up Harvey Weinstein brings me up to another person, and I'm not telling you to give out names because I know you don't do that, and I don't even want to go into that.
I want to work with these people later.
Yeah, I know you do.
It's going to be hard to do. Hey, look, I know I'm Benedict Arnold. I betrayed the United States government, but instead of hanging me, because you guys make me like a lieutenant colonel. No. You sold us out already. We're going to kill you. So no.
Well, no. So I want to bring up this guy that he's dead. So, but I just want to bring up his story and see what you think about it compared to the stuff that you experience. So, you've talked a lot about the parties, and we just spoke about Harvey Weinstein, but my thing is, Jeffrey Epstein. Mm-hmm. And it kind of brings me up to, and obviously he died. I believe he was murdered, and there was a lot behind that. That's just personally.
That bill goes off twice a day. It's just the fact that we bring a new busload of inmates in every week. 1 or 2 gets released. No, excuse me, every day. At like 3 to 4 o'clock, a new busload of inmates come in, but the release is once a week. We release 1 busload a week, we bring in a busload every day. So, yeah, that happens a lot in prison, not every other day. I mean, you just be eating, and I'm like, oh, they finally got Johnson, huh? I knew he was gonna get shanked.
Well, I don't know if you agree with this.
What about Epstein?
Yeah, so we'll go into Epstein. So, are we talking, because he was told to be, and again, we don't have to bring up names, but in his case, he was around, financial leaders, presidents, English royalty, actors, basketball, sports players in general. Is this what you're talking about with people at your parties?
Yeah, they're not actual parties. There's no music playing. There's no hats and balloons and cake. We call them parties because that's more of a polite word. But they're not actual parties, okay? When we say the Hollywood party, there's no music. There's no DJ. This isn't a party. There's very little alcohol, if any. These are not parties. We just call them. Like when hookers say, I got a date tonight. She doesn't mean she's going to eat. That's not an actual date. That means some guy's coming over to give her money to have sex with her. She has a date coming by. We just use polite terms. That woman's not an escort. She's not paid to be on your arm at the Oscars. No, she's an in-call prostitute. You come over there, so she says, I'm escorting. Yeah, escorting me from the front door to the bedroom. You know, I mean, but no. This when I say parties, that's a polite term for what they really are. You know,
Right. But I'm just saying these are some of the people
that's all
that
of
have,
these.
yeah, go ahead.
Put it this way: the people at the parties are those who cannot exercise their true nature in public,
Hmm.
and those will be teachers, those will be politicians, those will be people of royalty. But see, when you're naked, everybody's just a human. It's
Right.
just testosterone, estrogen in here. So yes, that guy is the mayor of the city. That guy's a teacher. That guy's a policeman. There's his boss, the chief of police. But in this room, we're all naked testosterone walkers, flopping on top of naked estrogen keepers.
But
And
how does all this stuff stay secret? Is there like NDAs, or is this just loyalty oaths or what?
you don't, we keep each other's secrets. It's an unwritten code. Bodyguards follow it. Housekeepers follow it. You
Yeah.
don't think JFK's Secret Service have tons of stories to tell? They
Of
were in the
course.
room. They have
Yeah.
to be with that man at all times. When he has those multiple orgies, they're standing right there, making sure that no one can peek through the window that doesn't need to be shot. But he sees the chauffeur who takes Stormy Daniels to Trump and brings back. He hears, who do you think she talks to? Like I tell people, when you want to get with a porn star, they're not listed. You pick up the box. You call the number on the box. That box was my cell phone for 12 to 15 years. So I know who you were with because I brought them there. I picked them up, and we talked about your genitals the whole way home. Okay? So if you do that for almost 30 years, you have thousands of so anybody that's ever played in the NBA or run for office, I can tell you what their penises look like. Because I've been given vivid descriptions, and half the time I've been in the room